If this was a government that's being judged like a chief executive of a corporate might have been judged, he or she wouldn't have lasted 14 years. We are the architects of our own demise, and our own demise started in 2016 when we made the ridiculous vote to come out of Europe.
Well, you would have thought, because they do say Rishi Sunak is meant to be a man of business, you would have thought that having listened to the chairman of Asda, Sir Stuart Rose, a Conservative as well, that he would have taken note of that. And when he called the press conference this morning, you think he would have, said something business friendly to try and get business back on side. Last week, Stuart Rose gave some pretty good indication of how bad the relationship is between business and the Conservatives. And yet, Rishi Sunak came out this morning and all he can do is go on about stopping the boats. Now, I'm sure there is a base of people that are obsessed with stopping the boats, but there's many, many more people who are angry about the enormous waste of time, energy and money that's been thrown at the stopping the boats, which everyone knows is never going to stop the boats. If you want to stop the boats, you need to get back closer to Europe and get back in the Dublin Convention and work for that. So as to what Rishi Sunak is doing, I do not know, but it's absolutely evident that business will no longer vote Conservative, and this is why business is moving to the Labour Party, which is being fairly quiet about what its plans are, which is understandable. But I think that most people in business are understanding that Labour want to get back closer to Europe, which is the answer to finding growth again. But I can never remember a time in my life where the Conservatives have been so far apart from businesses. And we have it the same with these ridiculous import checks. At the last minute, they decided to put them on everybody. And now they have admitted that they're not ready, but they're still going to charge people a Brexit tax. And yet they're not going to do any checks, which is not going to stop the illegal imports coming in. I mean, how can they think that this is attractive to voters when they're so obviously massively incompetent?
I watched an interview that you did last month, and in that interview you said this: the Conservative Party, which I am a supporter of, has been in power for 14 years. But at the end of the day, if you look at the last 14 years through a rear mirror, it's not been terribly exciting.
It hasn't.
What do you mean?
Well, didn't I mention it, but I have to mention it because you've given me the cue to now. we are the architects of our own demise, and our own demise started in 2016 when we made the ridiculous vote to come out of Europe. Now, you would say, well, you're an old moaning Remainer, but of course I am. But of course, if you look at the stats, nobody has yet convinced anybody that coming out of Europe was the right thing to do. And by setting the barrier so low, if you like, at a 50% majority, most of those people, dare I say it, who were the 1 or 2% who got them over the line to get us to do Brexit, have died because they were mostly older people. Ask young people today if that's what they wanted. Ask if that's the right thing to have done. Ask business leaders to now, are they happy with the result? And the answer is no. So we made a big mistake. Everything that has happened since then, apart from the one big factor which nobody could have predicted, COVID, has a link back to what we did when we came out on Brexit.
You're talking about the length of time the Conservative Party has been in for as well, 14 years.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think it's time for a change? I know you support the Conservatives, but do you think they should win the next election?
Well, I'm not a mouthpiece for the government.
No, I can tell that.
I'm a Conservative because I believe in Conservative values. But I do believe, yes, if this was a government that's being judged like a chief executive of a corporate might have been judged, he or she wouldn't have lasted 14 years. The shareholders would have said, on your bike. And, we'll see what happens in October, but I'm not hopeful.
Rachel Reeves and the Labour Party have been trying to woo business to try and convince them that Labour isn't anything to be scared of. Do you think they've had success?
Well, they certainly appear to be business friendly, and the real rub will come. I mean, what I would like to see, and I don't really understand why not, well, I do understand, but we need to have an election sooner rather than later. what on earth are we waiting for? I think the electorate is desperate now to have some sort of clarity about where we're going. What we do need to do then is, if an election is announced, whatever that period is, 4 to 6 weeks of electioneering, both parties need to set out very clearly what is in the plan. Now, what the Labour Party haven't done yet, and I understand why they haven't done it, but they haven't told us what the detail is. And that's what Rachel Reeves will get grilled on. That is what Keir Starmer will get grilled on, quite rightly.
We've got a bit of their plan when it comes to employment rights, giving workers rights to things like parental leave, sick pay from day one. Is that something you welcome? Is that something that's causing concern in the business world?
It's something that I would say be very, very careful about what they plan to bring in, because we do have one huge benefit in this country, that we've got, fairly flexible labour laws, but they do give significant protection to employees, but they give flexibility to employers. And we must make sure that anything we do isn't retrograde, Sophie, because business needs help. And that's what it needs at the moment. The costs have gone up dramatically. Minimum wage, quite rightly, has gone up. But at the end of the day, now that inflation has come down, which is a good thing, it puts a squeeze on. And business, to be successful in the environment that we live in, has to produce profits.